Welcome back to The Short Coat, coming to you from the amazing and intense world of med school at the University of Iowa Carver College of Medicine. I'm Dave Etler. So here's something they don't put in the med school brochures. You guys. Somewhere between 3 and 5% of you listening might take a leave of absence during med school. Nobody plans for it. Nobody talks about it at orientation. No admin will tell you unbidden before you need it that it's a thing. But it happens. It's not always a bad thing. Sometimes hitting pause is exactly what you need to hit play again later. Here to help me talk about it are my esteemed colleagues, friends, friends. MD PhD student Riley Behan-Bush is here.
Hi, everyone.
M2 Jay Miller is here.
Howdy.
M2 Srishti Mathur is here.
Present.
And M2 Megan Perry is back.
Hello, hello.
So glad to have you back, Megan.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So let's establish a baseline for our group here. Riley, you're obviously an outlier for this discussion. You have no business
That I am.
contributing to any baseline. As an MD PhD student for whom leave is baked in.
I literally took a leave of absence, about a 4-year leave of absence.
Yeah.
Which is odd that they call it such, but I think that is to the point, which is that leave of absence is not always bad.
We gotta call it something.
Yeah, we gotta call it something.
Yeah.
we gotta do something to these crazies. We gotta bring them down a peg.
Tell me, y'all, your thoughts on why people want to take a leave of absence outside of that. What are you guys' thoughts? Have you heard of people taking leaves? Are the people who were in your classes who have left?
Well, I am going to for a similar reason. I'm going to do an MPH.
Sweet.
So that still counts as a leave of absence. So that's something I'm planning on doing.
Okay.
So yeah, I feel like we could even start there. Like people will do it because they want to get another degree or they want to get a new experience. So like there's the path externship as well.
Yeah.
So if people are interested in pathology, they might do an extra year where they can get, more exposure to pathology, or in this case, Masters of Public Health.
Yep.
Yeah, we've had people take leaves to get Master of Fine Arts degrees.
Yes. You can technically go to law school. There's an MD-JD.
That's crazy.
Which
That's so
allegedly,
cool. but
Apparently,
like,
because nobody's taken us up on it. But
yeah.
it is.
So if anyone
is.
wants to take us up on it, just know
MD
that-
MBA degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another reason. Yeah, so the U.S. 4-year graduation is only 81.7%. It's the lowest it's been. So it seems like more students are taking longer to complete their degrees. So this whole idea of the 4-year MD program, I mean, it's kind of the prototype, but that's about it. Lots of people don't do it. Really, the primary active driver for leave is academic issues, academic problems. So, for instance, you decide to, if you're prepping for step 1, it's not going well. And, you have to complete that prep before you go on to do your clerkships, I think. I don't know how it works these days.
Post clerkships, but I guess clerkships nonetheless.
Yeah.
Advanced
And like move on
clerkships.
to step 2 also.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes you're like, you know what? I gotta do this.
Yeah.
Because I'm having trouble. So you might take a leave. Sometimes leaves of absence are recommended by the school if there are, if you failed something, failed a course or failed a clerkship or a board exam or something like that. So that's kind of one of the less desirable reasons, I guess, from the point of view of the individual having to take the leave.
And maybe we think of leave more as like a pause. It's just a reestablishment. Like I think it is leave, but you're kind of pausing. You're just taking a moment to like either redo or reassess something. In particular with the step exams, I think some people feel like, taking a leave feels so final. But I think taking a pause feels like, okay, I just need this extra bit of time to get things done.
We'll be here when you're done. Mental health crises, that's a real problem. 20.8% of med students meet the criteria for severe distress. 22% had either considered or taken a leave for personal well-being. Burnout, common reason for leaves of absence. And I think so the reason why we wanted to talk about it was because a lot of people don't realize that leaves of absence are an option until they're in trouble, till they're already in it. And I said that no admin will tell you up front, like at orientation, like, hey, if you want to take a leave of absence, totally down with that. Because we want you to, we want you to sort of consider the 4-year program as sort of the baseline.
One of the more profound things I feel like I remember hearing in the first year was that you fought all this way to get admitted to the school, and now you're here. And like the College of Medicine, their main goal is to get you to the finish line. And I thought that was really interesting, which is like, if that means you have to take a leave and come back, like the goal is to get people to achieve that goal. And if someone needs a little extra time to do a degree or to take time off, like it's not a bad thing. Like the people are there because they want you to get to the finish line. It's not competitive. It's not like, oh, look to your right, look to the left. One of you won't be here at the end of the day.
It's such an amazing trope.
I cannot believe that was
it a real thing?
Said?
I'm not even sure if it was a real thing.
No, but I was scared.
It was definitely in the first episode of Grey's Anatomy.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Yes, and in another one of my favorite productions, Flatliners from the 90s, I think it was.
Incredible name.
Do you remember that?
No.
Remember that? Yeah, it was like, who was in it?
I'm old, but not that old.
Julia Roberts was in it. That guy from 24.
That guy from 24.
Dave, no one knows what you're talking about.
Okay.
Was it a medical drama?
Beginning,
was it a medical drama?
It was a medical drama, and it's about 4 medical students who decide they want to cheat death, and so they each take turns bringing down their body temperatures until they flatline, and then it's all about the horrible consequences.
Okay, that's insane.
That the supernatural. Blah blah blah, et cetera, happened to them.
Can I use a more contemporary example?
Yeah.
The Summer I Turned Pretty. Anyone watching season 3?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Season 3, about episode 1 or 2. This is not spoilers. Well, I don't think it is, but Conrad is in medical school.
Right.
And
yes. Okay. I was like, what is the connection?
I'm
but
so
I got
glad
there.
we're
I
getting
got
it.
there.
Thank you so
I got
much. Conrad
there.
is in medical school.
Yes.
He is on like a summer rotation.
I don't know what he's
maybe.
doing.
I couldn't
All
tell
I
you.
know is he
Don't know.
makes one little mistake and he is, you're out.
You're out.
You're out of here.
You're
Get out of here. Which does not happen
No.
on clinical clerkships. You don't just get kicked out.
No, yeah.
I feel like it had to have
There's
been like
one
some
reason you could get
internship.
kicked out.
Yes.
I feel like
Confused
there's
by that
one
part.
reason you can get kicked out: murder.
Murder.
Sure,
And
but like he definitely doesn't
he
murder.
definitely
someone.
does not murder. And also, to get kicked out would also be to like, are you going to kick out the resident and the doctor who didn't double check his work?
Yeah.
I digress. He gets kicked out. Basically, one of you is not going to be here. Allegedly, the doctor says one of you med students is not going to be here. He was that student who was not going to be there.
No.
Yeah.
I thought that was a crazy trope. And I'm so glad I got to tell it on this public forum because that is not what med school is like. For anyone watching The Summer I Turned Pretty,
Yeah,
there's some wild stuff happening
I don't
in the
think
show.
anyone should use Conrad Fisher as an example of medicine.
So Conrad takes a leave of absence, kind of.
Yeah, I guess he does.
By the way, the med students and flatliners are all douchebags too, kind of a little bit.
Conrad is not a douchebag.
No. Okay.
That was so passionate.
He is not.
He's not. Stop.
I won't hear of it.
So glad I got to say that. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't speak
Cadence.
for all med schools, but I like to believe we can. So
Yeah. Other reasons why leaves might happen?
wedding, baby,
Yeah.
family reasons.
Life.
Wedding.
Well, maybe not wedding, but maybe
Maybe,
unless
I
you
don't
need
know.
to. I don't know. Depends on the wedding. Planning a wedding is stressful. Maybe you do need a leave of absence. I don't know.
Or just don't have a big stressful wedding.
I mean, big life events, anything, because a lot of life happens when you're in medical school. Like, newsflash, like you are actually an adult when you're in medical school, whether or not you still feel like a student.
Yeah.
And so a lot of adult things happen in your 20s, in your 30s, and beyond whenever you're taking medical school.
Things like caregiving leave, dealing with somebody's acute illness or maybe a disability, physical conditions of your own.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to think about the fact that they might suddenly become disabled, but it definitely happens.
Right. We don't get an exception from life.
Yeah, there's nothing
Just
protecting
because
you from. Yeah,
We are still students.
Right.
Like that's not how anything ever works.
You mentioned professional development, and I guess according to the AAMC, there's been a steady growth in MD PhD students.
Is that true?
I don't know.
Love that.
That's what they said.
Love that for everyone out there.
Yeah.
I had a great time. So I always say I'll never convince someone to do it, but I do fully support someone doing it. Mostly because I don't think it is for everyone, but that's a different discussion.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I like that.
I also think just like in general, higher education is required to get a decent job. In the United States, like we have this general trend of you need to have more and more and more qualifications. So I can see that like getting an additional degree, getting a PhD or a JD or an MPH to like feed into that further could be reasons why that's increasing.
You're saying my Bachelor of Arts in Psychology wasn't enough?
That's perfect for this job.
That's perfect.
The degree
For this one
the
niche
only
job
degree
that
that
you
would
have
allow me to
acquired.
graduate in 4 years after I got done f***ing around.
As you should.
That I hear that quote from adults like kind of a lot. It's like, yeah, that's just the degree that I could do after I changed my major and realized I hated what I was doing, but I wanted to graduate on time.
Yeah.
So
My dad got a degree in general studies.
What the hell is that?
Means you took enough credits and a lot of different things. And they said, you gotta.
That's what
You gotta
liberal
be- you
arts
gotta be done at
education
some
should be
point.
about.
And that's like, there are a couple programs. I don't think they do that anymore. I think they're going to need you to pick a path, but he did not. And here he is.
Hey man, I think general studies sounds fun.
Doesn't that sound fun?
Yeah.
The study
like
of,
me
it's the
in
study
actual
of
life.
everything.
Yeah.
That's just me in normal life.
Yeah.
Just dabbling.
Students often push through despite their struggles, and that sort of leads to emergency situations. And I don't know. I think I worry that people who are in, maybe not in crisis, but are approaching crisis, maybe wait too long to acknowledge the situation, and then that leads to a need to take a leave of absence rather than trying to figure out what they can do to prevent that from happening.
I'd be curious for all of you, second year, like how much, I mean, you're taking a leave of absence, you know that, but for you two, how would you feel, or how much do you feel like you need to get through as fast as possible? Like how much is that a driving factor for choosing a specialty or getting through medical school? Like how much is the time component lingering in your brain as something to be considered?
I think for me, timing is just like, not necessarily like to get to residency or anything, but kind of just be done with med school is a big driving factor. And I think that's probably true for a lot of other students of, you know, we're already here for 4 years. Like, do I really want to add another? And so I think that's a really big decision to make when you're already like trying to commit, you know, so much of your life here. And I think for me too, a big part of that consideration is that my family is not in Iowa. My fiance is not in Iowa. Things like that. So kind of trying to like get through this stage to like figure out the next one is kind of a big deal of like, you know, where is that all going to like settle for me?
Well, it can feel like a bit of a limbo state. Like I said, you're an adult, but you're not yet adulting. And sometimes you have family and partners and everyone else that is not even living here. So that is totally fair.
Yeah. But I will say like, and again, it's not advertised. I didn't even know it was really a thing. Like definitely when I was a pre-med was not even like something I was thinking about.
And also when we're in the pre-med mindset, that's like go, 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 go,
We're just trying to get in. We're not trying to take it.
like you want to get in so you can finish a year earlier.
Yeah. And then I remember like before orientation first year, they like sent out the student handbook, and I was like, let me just read through this. Maybe I was the only person that did that, but
no, every single person.
Oh yeah,
no, everyone
in the eyes of the admin, everyone reads the handbook.
That.
Yes.
And in the handbook is where I saw all of the like leave of absence, if you are having a baby, if you have life circumstances, if you need to take time, like, and I was like, I didn't even know this was a possibility.
Yeah, most schools don't really have leave of absence policies that are even that well defined.
Yeah. So I was like super appreciative of that. Like it's there. It's very structured the way that they do it. They're probably not like advertising it as the first thing, because I could see them maybe wanting students to take advantage of other resources first. Like let's do counseling with the Medical Student Counseling Center. Let's use the wellness resources we have, and then escalate to that. Like if that's truly, you know, what like needs to happen for that person's circumstances. But I don't know.
I just think it's a good idea to sort of monitor how you're experiencing medical school and life during medical school, and sort of jump on things before they get to the point where you're forced, quote unquote, to take a leave. Because there are there are costs
Mm-hmm.
to taking a leave if it's not planned. There are financial concerns. There are, there's cultural pressure. There's I suppose there's stigma associated with it at some places. Hopefully not here. So put yourself in the shoes of someone who's been told or who suspects that they might want to go on leave. What concerns would you guys have about a decision to step away?
Money.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Money.
Not returning. And also for that reason, money. I
Mhm.
feel like once you step away, you're not necessarily likely to not come back, but you're more likely to not finish than you were before.
Sure.
And also when you've already started the process, the loans kind of loom big, which I don't know if anyone else ever thinks about this. Like, what if you don't finish and now you just have like $60,000 a year for like at in-state level? I don't even want to know what it is out of state. Like, that's just the level of loans you have on top of what you've taken from undergrad.
Yeah.
Right. And like when I take these loans out, there's always this thing of like, I'm eventually going to be a doctor and I'm eventually going to be able to pay this off because I'll maybe have that. But like, if you stop halfway through, there's no guarantee that you will have that salary that can pay that off.
Srishti, what were you thinking about when you decided to take a leave of absence? Like, what were some of the other considerations that you had boggling in your brain?
Mine was a very interesting process. Basically, mine was, I started working in a clinic during my application cycle, and I was working with Medicare and Medicaid patients, and I was like, ooh, this system's a mess. So that's what got me interested in public health, and I actually applied to programs and got into them, and I was looking at the university's deferment policy because I still wanted to do both of them. My reasoning for doing it was like, I want both to practice medicine, but also to like use that background to change the policy of medicine, which would then make practicing medicine easier. So that was my thought process behind that. And so like, that's why like coming into Carver, I knew that like, if I wasn't going to defer, I was going to do like this, take a year out, do an MPH, come back. But like finances is a huge thing I think about, especially with now new loan caps. That is
Hooray.
definitely something I'm thinking about all the time.
Was the time to becoming a full-fledged doctor, other than the money, like just in terms of maybe your goal or aspiration to become a doctor, was that a factor that you ever thought about?
Was a little bit, especially because I took 2 gap years. And so, it is always in the back of my mind. I'll be 29, so 28. But I do remember someone recently, I think they were also an MD PhD student. They said like, well, I'm going to turn 32 anyways.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's a fair point. Like, I'm going to reach that age regardless, hopefully. So like, I guess it doesn't matter when I get the degree. But then also it does matter because like, that's an extra year before I'm getting paid a full amount. That's an extra year of loans. Like, all of those things were definitely in my head.
Yeah. I mean, obviously my example is like a kind of a unique, well, maybe not as unique now as more people go into the program, but talk to an MD PhD if you want to like get a little life lesson on how not to rush through things, because we were kind of forced into not rushing. Well, not forced into, we chose to not rush. Because I think it is, for me, it's been one of the most transformative times of my life, because I think I went from a go state to always achieving the next goal to basically having to have this intense period of slowdown where actually the goal is not going to happen for at least 8 years. And so I had to just become like uber okay with, I am where I am and I'm not trying to rush to get through anything. I'm enjoying the moment I'm in, because the end goal is residency, and that's going to be hard. And then after residency, I'm going to be a doctor, and that's going to be hard. And so just like finding this like joy and everything as I'm going through it. But that's not to say that there weren't like intense challenges of, am I getting through this fast enough? I too remember that feeling of like looking down the barrel of an 8-year program when I just graduated and thinking to myself, well, what age will I be when I graduate?
Yeah.
And thinking when you're, 22, you're like, oh my gosh, 30 is so old. And I still remember thinking that and feeling like, oh my God, I'm going to be so old. It's going to be so terrible.
You goddamn children.
And I'd have to get done before 30. And I think a lot of people think this, whether or not they realize, because gap years are becoming more common. More and more people are knocking down the door of 30, 40, et cetera, when they're graduating. But it's, the rush you have to kind of find like a piece with the rush. But there are challenges as I'm thinking about them now. One of the things that you think about when you take time away is if you're interested in maybe having a family or building a life outside of it. A big consideration for me now is, oh no, I'm going to have a kid in residency because I've got this biological clock and things to think about. So there are those pieces where you might not even think of it in that given time. And then after, some of those consequences will continue to snowball. So it's not all rainbows and like Zen happiness of I am where I am and that's okay.
Yeah, you make a good point. I wasn't really thinking about that for MD PhD students.
Yeah, the like kind of on the back end or the
I mean obviously it takes a certain amount of time to go through, but and that feels like a sacrifice, but there are other sacrifices that you're making in there, like, for sure.
And it's not a sacrifice I even thought of when I was, choosing to do this program. And even with now thinking about that, I wouldn't have chosen anything differently. But again, that is a unique example and not one that everyone will think about. But there are those considerations kind of toward the end because med school is not everything. So thinking about those, like, I guess I want to give permission to the people who are listening. Like, you can think about other things in your life that you want that is not just becoming a doctor. Like, if you want to, have a family someday, like, that's totally valid and thinking about right now, even if you don't want it for years and years and years down the pipeline. I think I wish someone had told me that. Like, it's cool to like consider that when you're young.
I've definitely talked to at least one other classmate in our M2 class, and she's been married for a couple years, and I think she's planning to take a leave of absence to, hopefully plan having children in med school because there's, designated time off, and it's a lot better than what you're going to get in residency, and residency really varies by programs too. So like that is definitely a factor that people consider when they're looking at like family planning and things like that.
Yeah. And it's worth thinking about sooner than later.
Well,
even if you don't want them sooner than later.
I mean, one of the things to think about when you're planning a leave is, loans. I think they go into repayment at some point. If you took like a year off,
I believe
6 months.
It's like 6 months. So if you were to take a year off, at some point during that year, you would start paying your loans unless you got a deferment, which I'm not sure how easily those come. I know you can get them in residency, but I'm not sure
I don't know
what all the details are.
You might have to reapply for financial aid when you come back.
Right. And you won't be getting financial aid
during that year.
On your leave. Right. So then you need to look at other
are you gonna
sources
have to
of
have a
income.
job?
Are you going to work? Is that really a break at that point? Like there's definitely other things to think about.
And I believe you would lose, I think she kind of mentioned this, like we're grandfathered in to new loan rules, but you might lose those rules.
Insurance coverage.
Insurance coverage is a big one.
Kind of a thing to think about. And then there's the sort of academics aspect of it. So sometimes leaves are viewed less favorably by residency, especially I assume especially if the leaves are for, academic reasons or
maybe we should say academic reasons, like that you didn't like, not
failing
because you're going to
or whatever,
more than failing and need more time.
Need more time to do stuff.
Need more time might be okay.
But
I think you just need to, when you're applying for residency, you need to have a clear and honest discussion in your application materials. Why you had to do this. And what you gained. From doing it. What you learned.
I know there's also like there were concerns of like sometimes residency programs may like filter out if you've taken more than 4 years. And I feel like those concerns are always going to exist. But I don't think that should be like the main deterrent for taking a leave of absence. I think the benefits of it on your mental health and your academic standing should outweigh that.
Yeah, I think you have to make peace with the idea that if a residency program filters you out based on that,
you probably don't want to.
Then you don't want to go there.
You don't want to go there, because then
it's
like something happens down the line, they're not going to support you.
Right. Did we mention this already? Watching your class move on without you.
I was about to bring that up. I was about to ask Riley about your experience with
that. That's the hardest part.
Because if you take, even if you don't take a leave like you had to, Riley, often when you in medical school is very rigid in the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
If you need to take like 6 weeks off, if that's what you need to take, chances are you're going to take a year off because med school moves on without you.
It's just also hard to
cycle. There's only one residency application cycle in the year, and it's really difficult. Yeah. I mean, it's so hard to, and it's so fun because, it's kind of fun for me because I've been able to see people I've started with graduate, not just kind of with the 4 years, but I've been able to go to match days where I'm like, oh, I know people. It's one of those complicated human emotions where you're simultaneously so happy and excited for people that you worked really hard with. And in the inside, you cannot help but be like, oh, I wish I was with them. Yeah. Like, I wish I was celebrating not just them, but I was celebrating in kind of concert with them.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to kind of manage that feeling because you want to be wholeheartedly excited and you want them to feel that wholehearted excitement. And also you have to like wrestle with this inner feeling of, am I going through fast enough? What am I sacrificing going through this? And it is really difficult. How do you feel going into that, knowing it will happen
all the time? Like this past match day, like that was one of my top thoughts because like it's so cute, it's fun watching match day, it's so wholesome, and like my friends and I will be talking about it, and they're like, imagine our match day, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be there, but like I'll be there because I'm really happy for you guys. Also just in terms of like moving on as an adult, I have a lot of friends and family who aren't in medicine, and like it's hard watching them like have full-time jobs, get like like move on in their life and know that like that's not me. I can't do that.
There's something not at powerless in some ways. I know we talk about powerlessness and being a med student in like lots of ways, but watching your friends, like they're like, oh, I'm going to apply for this other job because I can get this pay bump. And again, it's not all about money. Maybe they want to go to a different field or whatever. And you're just like, I couldn't even change a med school if I wanted, or I'm on a track. And even if you're so happy to be on that track, there's that little feeling of like, gosh, I guess I got to be on this track.
I'm not
like
in control of how
I'm not in control of this. And that I've realized a lot in, watching a partner get jobs and do that. It's so funny to be like simultaneously in this adult world and not.
So your leave is going to take place before or after you start clerkships?
After. So my understanding is I will do my core year, and then I will take my exams. And then between my third and fourth, like M3 and M4 year, I'm gone.
Okay.
And then I come back.
So that brings up, and Riley, you probably think about this too, the professional challenge or the academic challenge of reintegrating.
Oh boy, am I thinking about this right now. My transitions meeting was yesterday with Ms. Billy Rudin. She was so nice to take just three MSTP students through, hey, remember what you got to do on the clerkships?
Yeah.
And she was like, do you guys have your pager? And I was like, I think so. I think it's somewhere.
Hey, wait, by the way, we should mention you did your thesis
Thank you.
defense recently.
Thank you, Dave.
I'm so sorry. I was there for the public version of your thesis.
Dave was there.
It was so fun.
Thank you. But yeah, so I did just defend, and I am going back to clinic October 13th, and that date feels
that's so soon.
Incredibly looming. And yes, it is very weird to me as I will be re-entering with a cohort of students who have been grinding for a year, all year, and will really know what they're doing. And I will be coming in.
I want to know if this is true, that you will get back into it and you'll be like, oh, okay, this is not so bad.
I think that the first week is going to be really tough, as it is with any strong transition, because I was just describing this to my husband yesterday. I said, picture you right now in your job, and you're just gonna like switch fields, like full-heartedly switch fields of what you do, because that's kind of what it feels like to me. I just did research all these years, and not only am I getting a new job, but I'm like full-heartedly like 180 switching to a new thing.
Yeah, you're shifting from science to application.
And I remember a lot of it, and I know that every student who has come before me said, it will feel like riding a bike, yet it is terrifying. So yeah it is definitely weird. And I don't know if you think about this, like going back, because you'll have to do your advanced year after. Is that correct?
Mine is a little different, especially because it's only 1 year.
Yep.
So I haven't yet crashed out about that yet.
That's okay.
Like, and maybe it'll happen later.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't ever. I mean, I'm barely crashing out. I'm actually just waiting for my like the will to study to come back. Like I'm like, I need to get some fire.
Yeah, you have to rebuild those habits too, right?
Yes. So
you guys take classes in
barely.
No.
I took like 2 classes.
Oh, okay.
So no, I haven't taken an exam in years.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very strange. And it is a huge consideration for me now as I think about entering again, because you go from, well, again, depending on what type of leave you take, like I'm going from like top of food chain, basically. Like I've done exactly what I needed to. I'm top of grad student food chain to like very bottom again. And it's a weird little ego.
Happens anyway, though, Riley. I mean, even if you didn't do the PhD phase, like you go from you go from your M4 year when you're like as competent as, and as good at this as you can possibly be, and then all of a sudden you're an intern. And
even in every clerkship you do, you get great at OB-GYN for 6 weeks, completely change whatever you're doing. You go to the next thing.
Yeah.
So every student feels this, but it's a lot.
I imagine that for students who have unplanned leaves, that there is a fear of judgment from faculty and from peers and from future programs. I mean, we've already talked a little bit about that. There is a culture, I think, in medicine to not show weakness, which is odd considering what it is you guys are going to be doing with your lives, which is treating people who are having, problems.
Might I say though, like, I don't know. Again, I am not applying, or I'm not admitting people for residency, but I also think that there's some value to kind of overcoming some form of stress in your life. Like, I think there is strong value in life story for one person who has never kind of who has never had any challenges, never had to overcome anything, versus a person who has had a challenge and overcome that challenge. Like so I don't want people to think, oh, this is going to be a red flag and I will learn nothing of it. And residencies will only ever see this as like a problem. I think it is of great value in life to have little pockets of stress. In particular, this would be a large pocket of stress, but I do think there is strong value there as well. So I don't want people to just think it's a red flag.
I almost wonder with like the trend of gap years between medical school and undergrad, like becoming increasingly popular, if this might take like a similar trend, especially even in like the way that like residency programs view a leave of absence and how they, look at applicants that have them. I'm curious to see how that maybe changes over the next like 10 years.
We'll check back in 5 years.
Sounds good.
Back.
Yeah, because like gap years have increased a lot.
But then at the same time, there's also these programs that are shifting to like 3-year med school programs and things like that.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Which I think it feels like, I don't know, like, do you then take a leave of absence to go do other degrees in that? And then you have like less of that pressure to, finish in that time frame that you're so like people really want to stay in that 4 years while your program's shorter. Maybe it's easier to go do like a research year or, whatever. But then, or is there this like pressure of, no, we're getting you in and done in 3 years. That's the point of our accelerated program. That kind I don't know. I'm not in one, so it's hard to know what that would feel like.
I would hate it. If Harvard College of Medicine shifted to a completely 3-year program. I don't think that's how it works. I think if they do it, it's an option rather than.
Apparently, NYU is now fully 3 years.
No,
it's an
NYU.
Option.
This is a bad idea. How can you have a podcast? NYU.
Also, my source is Reddit. So.
I was actually abroad in Ecuador over the summer with students from like other med schools across the country, and one student was from NYU, and we were talking to him about this because he chose to do the traditional 4 years and take it slower, while other classmates can choose to do 3 years or whatever. And I think a lot of people will maybe choose like the 3-year track and like add a research year or do different things like that. And I think that was maybe part of his decision of why he chose to do the 4 years. But I thought that was really interesting of kind of giving people the option of that like built in.
I'd be so interested to hear, like, because obviously there is the consideration of, well, not even tuition in the case of NYU, because it is free tuition.
It is free tuition.
True?
Yeah.
Okay, so like that, let's now in this example we can take it out, but I do think there is such fallacy to thinking like, oh, that one extra year of my life, that could change everything. Yeah. Again, there are examples, and you could give me so many, and I'm sure I'll say this and everyone will be like, this is where you're wrong. This is a great example of why 3 years would matter. compared to 4.
Visit theshortcoat.com/tell us to tell me why Riley is wrong.
Yeah, do that.
Anyway, keep going.
Either way, but I think there is fallacy in thinking that 1 extra year is that's gonna change it all, especially when you're kind of maybe in your early 20s. Again, anecdotally, I had the option to finish my PhD, so I would have finished the program in 7 years versus 8. And so this was like a very real question mark for me. It was like, is that 1 extra year of my life really gonna like change everything? Like, am I gonna be happier because I've done it faster? And like ultimately I decided to do the 8-year track because there was value in not feeling like I am, being dragged behind a train as it keeps moving and it's only going to get harder and harder and harder.
Yeah.
And so I knew that having those moments of reprise and of a moment to breathe was what I wanted. I wanted extra time for break. I wanted, probably in the case of a 3-year versus 4-year med school, more time to like let that information digest. Take a trip your M4 year. You probably don't get that.
Yeah.
Year.
I don't think he would have been abroad if he was doing the 3-year track either.
Yeah.
So like he got a really cool experience with that, and he said something about that as well. So I think there's a lot of really cool opportunities that you have if you just take it slower.
Even in undergrad, like, I had the opportunity to graduate earlier, but instead, like, I decided to go do the full 4 years, and I took a bunch of stupid fun classes.
Yeah.
And like those were really important for my personal growth, my mental health, just getting the chance to learn or like do something that interests me.
Well, you learned about yourself, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You learned what you like to do outside of the rest of
Exactly.
us.
And like I don't think I would have ever wanted to switch that. Like I am very grateful that I took the time for that.
I'm not sure I've ever had a podcaster who's gone on leave who came back and was like, nah, I wish I hadn't done it.
No.
I think they come back and they're like, yeah, it was necessary. I needed to do it.
Yeah.
I learned some things and I was able to, fix whatever problems that made me take that leave. So let's say we live in a universe where you decided to go on leave. What would you want to be thinking about while you're on leave so that it's not just you like sitting on your couch for a year or whatever?
I think first of all, we're just going to structure it of a year. Are we doing a year?
Sure.
You get a week to wallow. You can have that moment of like, that sucks and I'm so mad at the deans or whatever. Like have that moment, like sit in that, be okay with like, wow, this sucks.
Yeah.
You can do that for about a week.
I was gonna say that might come back too. Like you might
do a little,
go a couple months
bit.
and be like, okay, I'm gonna get into the rhythm of like whatever, and then you see your friends doing something, and ooh, that's gonna hit a different way. But give yourself the grace.
Yes.
Feel it.
Yes.
Keep going.
Yes.
I think also especially like med school is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's always important to keep that in mind. Like med school is really, really, really hard. And like you're not a bad person or incompetent if you have to do this. Like these are extreme circumstances that we are in.
Yes. Agreed.
No, yeah. Maybe number 2, because you're probably still wallowing, is like find a mentor or someone outside of you that like genuinely believes that like there is a path for you.
Yeah.
I think there is such value in like having a cheerleader that is, even if you're not there with the confidence, they're there with the confidence. And so finding a physician faculty member or someone who maybe even took a leave of absence, got through it, knowing that like the path has been well trodden is super useful as well. So if you don't yet believe in yourself, find someone that does and soak that in.
Yeah.
There's also the need to make your leave productive.
Yeah, we were getting to number 3.
What's that?
Number 3.
Yeah.
That was going to be do stuff.
Oh, did we do 1 and 2? Did I skip over 2? I hope.
2 was find someone who believes in you.
Okay.
1 was wallow. 2 was find someone who believes in you.
And
3
then 3 is okay. Now what are you going to do? What are you going to do so that it's not an empty space in your CV, basically?
I think you have to reflect first before you decide.
3 is reflect.
Yeah, before you decide exactly what you're going to do.
Oh, okay.
Like reflect on, like what maybe transcribed to like have these circumstances
What
occur.
didn't go per your plan.
Yeah. As to plan, I think is
in
really
the
good
case
way
of
to put it.
academics, maybe it was a study problem.
Right.
Maybe it was an environment problem. Maybe it was you're dating someone bad and that's not really like helping you out. Like reflect on all those.
Yes, absolutely.
And in reflect, I think you should consider like your mental health just like throughout your year and like coping with what you're going through, because like it's not going to change, and so you need to like just find a way to be okay with your new like how you're going to be going through this year before you get down, because like you said, you'll probably find moments where you're down, and you'll probably get sad about your situation in some way, but just like being able to handle that and finding ways to come back from that and like keep going, like I think that would be good.
And knowing where you need mental health help and where you need academic help, like again, reflect and figure out, can I do this myself?
Yeah.
Or should I ask?
Also, I think it's really important at some point within this framework that we're creating to like take a moment and look at yourself and be like, okay, like, do I need to reset my goals? I don't think like not returning isn't a bad thing. Maybe this like pause is meant to be a redirection. Maybe you are not thriving or doing well in this environment, and that is like your sign that maybe I need to look into something else. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that like redirection is a bad thing. Maybe you just need to take a moment and decide like, do I want to go back to school? Do I want to pursue something else with my life? This is like the universe giving you an opportunity to really think about that.
Yeah, there have definitely been people who went on leave and then didn't come back.
Yeah.
They made that decision.
Yeah, and that's perfectly valid. Like, it's your life. That is absolutely valid. You should not, if you feel like this is not the environment you want to be in, you absolutely do not need to.
Yeah.
But if you do plan to come back.
So we've reflected.
Yes.
And now we have a game plan, maybe. We have a to-do list. We know where we need help, both in our mental, physical, and like study habits. And now I think you got to figure out a way to hype yourself up and do it. And I think that's probably going to be the hardest part is the doing and providing yourself that framework to actually do.
Yeah.
Because I think we're thinking in the context of studying.
Yeah.
And so like, I think, again, define that goal. What is the goal? Is the goal stay? Awesome. So now is the goal pass the exam, get a certain score on the exam? What is that goal? Pass the class again? Ask for help. Ask someone to help you define how you can achieve that goal.
I think this is a time to really lean on whatever resources you can find.
Yeah. And I think it's
whatever
probably
resources
defined
the school offers. I mean, I don't think going on leave means that you're like not supposed to set foot in your school and like, you can't.
Under fully assuming, which I granted have no idea, but I'm assuming that like we have a lot of staff that help you do a lot of this like reflection and planning and steps. And
stuff. I don't think they like banish you from the borders of the city. Like that's not.
Yeah, I can't.
There's
see
an
them
alarm
being,
when
like,
you step
figure it out. Yeah,
like, and you're still able to come here and like talk to like the friends that you made here.
And you should.
Yeah. Like you're still able to like come here. Like, you won't
be on the podcast.
Yeah.
Don't isolate yourself.
Yeah. You won't be graduating with them like you said, but that's like the only thing that is not going to be the same. Like you can still come and be with all your friends for like the rest of the 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's probably, switch up whatever you were doing because it probably wasn't working.
Yeah, don't do the same stuff.
Don't do the same stuff.
Like,
like that is like the overarching umbrella here is like probably don't do exactly what you were doing. Don't use the same coping strategies you were using if those were not working with your mental health. Same study strategy. Let's try something new. And definitely, if you don't know what that is, ask.
Yeah.
People are here. Like they want to help you. Like I said at the beginning, the whole goal in the eyes of the med school is to get you from point A to point B.
I think it's important to remember that, like you said, I think our goal is to get you through medical school. If we're not able to do that, then it kind of feels like a failure for us. So lean into those resources that your school has for you. If you need to find resources outside of your school, absolutely. And I think you need to start thinking about, okay, how are you going to frame this when the time comes for you to apply for a residency program?
I think everything is always about storytelling and how you frame the story.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, like everything, every gap year you take, every activity you do, every test you mess up, it is always, always, always about how you tell the story. And that is like at the core of everything. Like how you tell the story is 100% the way that you can change the narrative. You can like show that you have grown through this. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think reframing reframing the leave of absence as, an opportunity to gain self-awareness and maturity, to understand that medicine needs doctors who of all kinds, those who were like successful in getting through 4 years, and those who needed to take some time to figure things out. Medicine needs doctors who know their limits, because the stress isn't going to end after med school, unfortunately. And understanding that your well-being will, as a physician, will affect the quality of care that you can give to your patients. You only have so much in your cup, no matter how much you may want to be the most wonderful, empathetic, knowledgeable physician. So I think breaking the stigma, basically reframing for yourself why you needed this and what you're going to do about it, sort of helps break the stigma for future students too. And also, you're going to be a teacher as a physician. I mean, unless you go to community and do community health for the rest of your life.
But even then,
you're
even
a
teaching your
residency
patient.
program.
No, but then you're like teaching your patients.
Teaching your patients too.
Right.
Like, you can't just tell your patients. You have to. Your patients need to understand what's going on. You're teaching your patients.
So this is like a bonus in a way. This time of reflection is to figure out, like, okay, someday I'm going to be in a position to give advice to a student who is having similar problems.
I do think the only disservice that one could do to themselves, and ultimately, I guess, for their application to residency, if they take a leave of absence, is to just like not learn about themselves, to not take the moment of reflection, to not grow from it. It's probably the only disservice you can do, is to, again, stay in step one, wallow, do nothing different, and not learn anything about yourself. I think there is such value, again, to these hard seasons of life where like that totally sucks. And I would hope no one has to go through it just to get to the other side. But the hope is that you get a little nugget of wisdom from it, that you can build a story.
I think you also have to remember that students who took leave before you became doctors. And if you're worried, I'm not going to imagine ortho or ophthalmology or whatever competitive specialty you're looking for, there were students who took leave and who matched.
Also, like, if you're failing your exams, you're not going to match either. Right. So, like, you might as well take a pause, do better on it.
What looks worse, taking a leave of absence or trying to stick it out, tough it out, and continuing to just not do well. So,
between taking a leave and failing a major exam, taking a leave is definitely better in the grand scheme of things.
For sure.
Right. Like a major exam, like STEP or like something like that.
Yeah, because you can take STEP again, but they still know that I believe they still know that you had to take it more than once.
Yeah. And when it comes to fellowships, if you're interested in that, they see, like, more competitive ones, they see that and like they don't want to risk training someone who hasn't passed a step. And like you might get a fellowship, but it makes things a lot harder
stacks
for
things
you.
Up against you a little bit.
Yeah. And a leave of absence does not do that necessarily. So,
and like a leave of absence can, but then that's where it really becomes important to like talk about, like, this is what I gained from that leave of absence.
Yeah,
right.
You need to get something out of it. Like, you don't take a leave of absence because everything is going great.
Yeah.
I might.
Well, I guess unless you wanted a baby or something.
Right.
Like, unless there are the good examples.
In the academic
example,
yes. But if you're going to go pursue like another degree or family or whatever, then that sounds pretty great.
Yeah.
I guess, what do you think are some other practical tips to consider? Like, I would say one of the things I would love for people to do more is to journal their experience through med school, and even when you're on leave, to keep that journaling up, because it will help you reflect. It will help you talk about it. I think at some, when the time comes to address the leave, having something down on paper will allow you to look back and go, okay, these are the things that I was thinking about. I think I learned a few things. The things that you think about will probably change over the course of that leave, and that might inform, what you write about.
I think having some good people in your life that are completely outside of medicine, try to find those people, because I think that they can help ground you. And again, good kind of soundboard of, I'm going through this really tough time. Like, they can help kind of identify, is that, a medicine problem? Is that just like everyone in life goes through that? I think there is like making sure you're talking to people. I think often, especially in the terms of academic probation, it could be so easy to want to retreat within yourself and feel some sort of shame, but make sure you're still including those people you know and love and trust in your life, because they're going to be the ones who probably know you as a person, not you as the doctor to be.
Yeah.
And will know, are you overwhelmed? Is this the right move for you? They'll help you define that. So like, don't just talk to people in medicine to like make this decision and kind of see it through. Yeah. Remember, your people outside of medicine are like equally as important and vital.
And I guess just remember, you're not alone. 3 to 5% of medical students who take leave of absence means that there are hundreds of students who take leaves of absence in this country. Jay, you said early intervention beats crisis management. Absolutely. Your career isn't over. You're just walking a different path than you expected.
I would also say, like, there are very high rates of physician burnout.
Yep.
And serious mental concerns that come with that. Yep. And I think it is always, always, always better to stop and pause and try and seek help.
The medical profession needs diverse experiences and perspectives. I would hope that you would take away from today's discussion that sometimes the bravest thing is admitting that you need a break. Mm-hmm. If you're able to take the time to heal, then that's better than if you didn't take the time to heal, because then you're just pushing it off down the road, and then it's going to be a problem later. So,
yeah, stuffing stuff down inside is like not
hasn't really worked all that well. For me.
Yeah, it's not really the way to do it. Like, it'll get you somewhere, but it'll be a little bit harder to have a crash out in residency and beyond. So I would do it now.
So what do we think? Do we feel better about
now?
Moral of the story: med
crash
school
out
is
now.
a great time to crash out.
Yes.
There is flexibility and people around to support you. No, I mean, all jokes aside, like, it actually is, and I think you, to the point, like, take time. It isn't just a race to the finish line.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you'll probably look back at your life and you'll look back at this time of med training, and you're probably not going to wonder, oh, should I have taken an extra year or not taken an extra year?
This is a blip.
Think about the time aspect.
This
You're going
is
to think
a
about the
blip
other
in the
pieces.
road. This is like, this is going to be nothing.
It doesn't feel like a blip as you're doing it, but it is. Yeah. You're going to look back at a long career, or a short one if you want to, and you're going to think the time was the time.
Yeah. I think to that point too, outside of your typical like leave of absence, year-long break, there's breaks available to you as a student. There's we have flex weeks in our core years that, like, I know I'll use to plan my wedding instead of maybe doing another away rotation or advanced elective. And it's a matter of thinking about, the things that I really want in my life and my career, and what is really going to make me happy during that time. And that was a consideration I even had this past summer. We got 12 weeks of summer. Some people will do research. Some people will do clinical rotation. Some people will do global health. And I did use part of it for a global health program, but I also used part of it to just be home with my family for a month.
I degenerated at home like crazy.
It was
beautiful.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So even if you're someone that like doesn't think you need a full leave of absence, just make sure you use the time that you maybe would consider like just continuing to push forward. Like, it's okay to not always fill.
Just like Conrad Fisher spent a summer at out
in Cousins
doing some stuff,
doing some housework.
Or you could, fill your summer with global health and Miko and take up every single week of your time.
Yeah, I'm not the best example of that, but I had a great time. It's what I wanted.
But you have other breaks coming up that you can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
With. Like, you will have time. But yeah, use those breaks wisely. And I do think it's a good point. We have made a lot of examples where you take an entire year off of medical school. Right. Make sure you exhaust all your options. Like, you probably have the ability to do 2 weeks, 6 weeks, etc. There's a lot of flexibility in the M4 year, and odds are your school would be willing to work with you.
Once you get into clerkships, it's easier to take a break.
Correct.
I think because the preclinical phase is pretty regimented, and so if you take a small amount of time off, it means you got to take a lot of time off.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're looking at med school,
but once you get into clerkships, it's a little bit easier.
Right. Like, you can try and pick and choose.
So don't let us scare you into feeling like, oh, it's always a year.
You're nothing. No. Yeah, that's not true.
Shortcoats, if you have something you want to say, about today's show, about a future topic that you would like us to discuss, maybe you have a question for us, go to theshortcoat.com/tell us and send us a message. If you want to send me a love note,
Don't.
you could. Otherwise, that's our show. Until next time, I'm Dave Etler saying, don't let the bastards get you down. Say bye, everybody.
Bye.